Hello and welcome to the Power Your Advice podcast. The Power Your Advice podcast is designed to bring financial advisors new ideas, why those ideas should be considered, and how to implement them into your business. This podcast is brought to you by Advisorpedia, the best place for advisors to grow their minds and businesses. And now, please join your host, Doug Heikkinen.
Hello, welcome to the podcast. We are live in Denton, Texas at the T3 conference. And we have Chris Field, the Chief Growth Officer at Holistiplan with us. Welcome to the podcast, Chris.
Hey, thank you so much. It's great to be here.
This is a really interesting thing that you guys have done. As more and more advisors look to add value to their practice and value they give to their clients, taxes is something that has come on their radar, and it's something that you guys are doing. So tell me about that a little bit.
Yeah, the interesting thing is taxes touch everything an advisor does, right? You think about estate planning, investments, insurance. I mean, taxes are a part of that, but it's been an ignored part of many advisors' sort of suite of tools for a long time. It's historically been left to the CPA. So here at Holistiplan, we've built a product that uses machine learning to read in a federal tax return, and we take a PDF, an advisor uploads it, and about 60 seconds later, because of the machine learning, they have a client deliverable tax report, which summarizes the entire tax return in 2 to 3 pages, and then also pre-fills a scenario analysis where an advisor can actually forward look for several years and look at how different tax planning opportunities might save the client taxes in the future. So all of that is done with no data entry initially.
So are you taking over what some CPAs are doing and allowing advisors to do that themselves?
Great question. So we're not doing tax preparation, but we're doing tax planning. That's an important distinction. And we work closely with a lot of CPAs. And what CPAs are really great at, the best, is tax accuracy. But what they're not really able to touch because of time constraints is tax efficiency. And so most clients are really not getting any tax planning right now. No one's looking at their complete tax structure, their goals, their hopes, their income changes, their charitable contributions, etc. No one's really looking at that right now and saying, hey, if you did these 2 or 3 things differently, we might be able to help you save some money in taxes. Right now, it's been very functional. This is what you made. This is what you owe, with no real look to the future as to how we might be able to make that more efficient. That's really what the software lets the advisor do.
Taxes are a very serious thing because regulation, IRS,
Absolutely.
There's no more higher regulation. So with doing these things, doesn't it bring not only solutions but problems as well to the advisor?
Yeah, I mean, there's always unintended consequences that you have to be aware of. And so what we're really clear about, or the one thing we've worked really hard to solve, is advisors are definitely not giving tax advice. They're doing tax planning. Many of the actual things that an advisor would do would be executed by the CPA in tandem or in partnership, often with the advisor. I think the biggest challenge that we're facing is really a great problem to have, which is many advisors are realizing they need to be doing tax planning and they've never done it before. Mm-hmm. And so we've given them a product that allows them to do it much more efficiently, which is easy to do, and they weren't doing it at all. But then also we're needing to educate them as we go. And so we're creating a number of tools and resources to give that advisor the tools they need and the resources they need, that education they need to be able to do the work that is going to make them a good tax planner, and that's going to allow them to add that value to their clients. So I think that's probably the biggest challenge is how do we help advisors do this well and give them the tools they need, not just to have an output, but to be able to actually talk about that output and to be able to explain it in a way that's satisfactory.
It seems like it's a very important tool for advisors to have moving forward to add this into their planning and advice. Talk to me a little bit about tactical versus strategic tax planning and how you help with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, it's funny that you mentioned we're here at T3. They just came out with this year's survey, came out yesterday. And in 2019, that survey showed that about 1 in 14 advisors were doing tax planning or using tax planning software. Yesterday's results showed that about 1 in 3 advisors are using tax planning software. I'm not sure there's a faster growing category over the last 3 years. So 4 times as many advisors are now using tax planning software as were just 3 years ago. I think it's really clear advisors are seeing how powerful this is. And Holistiplan in its original form was very tactical. I mean, it was very much you put in the tax return, we give you the output, you take it to the client. What we're learning from our advisors, we just hit 10,000 advisors last week, by the way, 10,000 users on the software. That was a big milestone for us.
That's great.
And we have a community we have a great feedback loop with our community. I mean, we're always asking, we want your feedback. We want your feedback. We value your feedback. And the product really is what it is because of that feedback. And one of the pieces of feedback we're getting so frequently right now is exactly to your point about strategy. They're saying, we love the data. We don't always know how to talk about it with our clients. And so actually just today we announced we have beta forms of 2 new products within Holistiplan. One is a tax explainer product, which essentially allows an advisor to tell their client exactly how their taxes came to be. And then the other one is a visualized Roth conversion calculator, which shows the long-term 30, 40-year savings benefit of doing a Roth conversion today. So we do a lot of Roth conversions on our scenario analysis. It's probably the number one use of the scenario analysis, but we haven't had that last piece to show the client, hey, you are going to pay taxes today, but in 40 years, you're going to have made this much more money because you paid those taxes and you got the growth by yourself. And that's just the beginning of a suite of products that are going to be very strategic in helping advisors, guiding them in those conversations with clients.
It seems like this allows an even better marriage between the CPA and the advisor and maybe a better referral stream.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was one thing that a lot of advisors early on asked us. They said, hey, is this going to upset the client CPA? Like, are these CPAs going to be mad at me? It's like, no, actually, we're finding the opposite. The advisor is not replacing the CPA. Again, advisors don't want to do tax prep. We need CPAs to do tax prep. They're great at it. What this is doing is just allowing the advisor to find those 2 or 3 or 5 potential planning opportunities, which are then taken to the CPA to execute. And it lets the CPA do what they're best at, which is executing strategies. And it lets the advisor do what they're best at, which is look at the client's entire holistic financial picture and plan for the future. So it's really a merging of 2 worlds and letting both do what they're best at doing. And that's creating a lot of deeper relationships.
Chris, how did you get here? You didn't grow up wanting to work on taxes.
I did not. No, I did not. And I don't even come from the financial planning industry. It was a long and winding road to get me here, but I've always loved helping people, and this was a really fun chance to do that in a new space. So my background is, since I was 19, I've been doing nonprofit work, and I'm 39 now, and about 12 years ago, my wife and I started a nonprofit doing anti-child trafficking work in Ghana, Africa. And that led to a number of other business opportunities as I met people and as I learned how to market and do sales and fundraising for that nonprofit. I started a marathon in my hometown, which has been very successful, wrote a couple books, spoken all over the country, have a couple businesses, teaching businesses how to do social media marketing. And in that journey, one of the founders of Holistiplan, who's also a runner, he'd run the marathon that I started. And he kind of watched me on that journey and came to me when they were ready to really start kind of picking up the sales and marketing part of Holistiplan. And he said, hey, we want to get this word out to more people. And I've watched you over the years do that with all of your ventures. Would you consider coming help us teach advisors why tax planning is so important? And I said, that sounds fun. Let's do it. And so I think the company was about 8 or 9 months old when I came in, and we had a few hundred, maybe 1,000 advisors. So we've maybe 7, 8, 10 times in those 2 years, and it's just been a heck of a lot of fun. It's great people. Both the founders are CFPs. They created a product they wish they had in their firms, and so it makes it really easy to have the conversation with advisors because the product is so helpful.
Do you have any examples of advisors using the software and changing their practices and gaining more clients, or deeper relationships with their clients?
Yeah, I mean, every day, I mentioned we just hit 10,000 users, and I mean, literally almost every single day, somebody's emailing into support telling us about something that's happened. So, I think there's two examples I like to use. One example is advisors who are already doing tax planning, but it was so time intensive because of all the manual data entry. I mean, people were literally entering in line by line by line from the tax return. You know how long tax returns are. I mean, they're dozens of 40, 50 pages. Somebody was sitting there manually entering. So, it's taken hours for one client to get any kind of good tax planning, which meant advisors essentially were having to choose which of my clients are going to get tax planning. So now advisors are able to do tax planning for all of their clients in less time than they were doing it before. And I love that we've brought that access to financial planning, to richer financial planning. That's the mission of the whole software when we started. So that's one piece. The other piece is for advisors who weren't doing tax planning. They knew it felt important. They knew they always had questions about it. Clients were always wondering about it, but it felt intimidating or overwhelming. And now we've given them a product that lets them feel capable, and even more than capable, actually helps them to feel qualified to be able to have a meaningful conversation around tax planning. And so now someone who had no tax planning background is now doing this for dozens or 50 or 100 of their clients. It's really exciting to think about how many families are saving money in unnecessary taxes because their advisor now has a tool that equips them to be able to have those conversations.
People who create cool stuff like this don't stop creating. What is next for Holistiplan? What do you got? What are you guys thinking?
I think that suite of tools I referenced earlier is going to be a pretty fun project. And when you think about how do we equip advisors to have better conversations? I mean, it's one thing to have a row of numbers and the advisor can, that makes sense. But we're talking to people, human beings.
Yeah.
And a row of numbers don't always make sense to them. They're not financial advisors. They don't think about numbers all day. They don't think about long-term ramifications all day. So to be able to visually show them how a decision they make today, exactly how it will benefit them over the next 20, 30, 40 years. And I don't mean just investment management. We've historically done that, but in their taxes with Roth conversions, with things like charitable contributions to see the impact they're able to make. I think those are going to be a really cool tool. What we're committed to ultimately is helping advisors help more people. I mean, that's the bottom line. We believe more people need richer financial planning. And every piece of data that comes out right now that shows that many Americans are struggling with their money and even understanding money and understanding what happens to money and why. It's one more brick in the case that more people need access to financial planning. And the way that's going to happen is through intelligent use of technology. And we're never going to lose that human element, and we shouldn't lose that human element. But we can make humans better at their jobs, faster at their jobs, deeper at their jobs, more valuable at their jobs when we leverage technology. And that's what gets us excited every single day is how do we take incredible technology and make great advisors able to help even more people at scale?
Well, congratulations on creating something that's so valuable that adds to an advisor's practice and makes them and their clients better.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. It's honestly been a gift for us, and it really does make work fun every single day.
Chris, how do people get in touch with you guys if they want to learn more?
Yeah, Holistiplan.com is a website. We're on Twitter and LinkedIn as well at Holistiplan. And, we do have a free trial. People can try the software for 7 days for free, upload 3 returns, and see for themselves. That aha moment for most people is when you upload that first return, usually your personal tax return, right? And 60 seconds later, you've got a document that's already giving you tax planning opportunities. It's like, wait, I messed this up on my own. I could be saving money. What are my clients going to do when they see this? And for the price of a cup of coffee, you're able to upload a client's tax return and have a valuable conversation with them. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that, and that's what's really fun for us.
Great job. Thanks so much.
Yep, thank you.
Please follow us for all the latest updates on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Advisorpedia. For the Advisorpedia production team, our producer, Jakey Beard, this is Doug Heikkinen.